President Trump had a nuclear summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-Un. Now, unfortunately for everyone involved and the world, it kind of fell apart in spectacular fashion. You guys know, I actually wanted that to succeed. I actually want to deal with North Korea that would lead to denuclearization, right? That said, we didn't get that deal because Donald Trump walked away from the summit. And in the end, we get nothing. Now, it turns out that, at least according to the Wall Street Journal, that was the intended outcome. They reported that the deal was off before the summit had even took place, and they had cited Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Pompeo said, oh no, this is basically going to be nothing more than an expensive tea summit because we're not agreeing to anything. Now, let's be honest, that's not a surprise from Mike Pompeo. He doesn't want to deal with North Korea. He is a war hawk. He actually wants a war with North Korea. And look, I wanted Trump to succeed. I wanted to get a good deal that involved, nuclear inspections. I don't know if they would ever allow that. So let's be honest, right? The diplomacy is and the possibility of getting a deal was probably very shaky. But there was at least some sort of a chance. Now, there is no chance. We got nothing. So now, instead of taking responsibility for walking away, Donald Trump decided to do what he always does and blame someone else. In this case, the Democrats. He said, for the Democrats to interview in open hearings a convicted liar and fraudster at the same time as the very important nuclear summit with North Korea is perhaps a new low in American politics and may have contributed to the walk. So, wait a minute. So this was happening at the same time that the Cohen hearings were happening, right? But those two things had nothing to do with each other, which makes you wonder, wait a minute, if he sabotaged an incredibly important possibility for peace and to get a nuclear deal with the North Koreans because of the Cohen hearings, number one, he's incredibly short-sighted and stupid. And number two, my God, we've got to get rid of him. Please, 25th Amendment, and let's do it now. Let's do it now. Because seriously, the man is unhinged, and he's still fuming about the Cohen hearings. He's still fuming about the Mueller investigation, which, by the way, his former lawyer, Ty Cobb, came out. And he's like, that investigation, not a witch hunt. It's not a witch hunt. And Mueller is an American hero. Now, look, calling Mueller an American hero, that's a little bit of a stretch for me. He's FBI. He's just literally doing his job the way that he's supposed to. American hero is a way big of a stretch. But anyway, he came out and he said not a witch hunt, but he also said something interesting. He said, even though I think that this is a good investigation, I don't think that there's anything that would be collusion. And I think that's actually a fair thing to talk about. Because, well, look, is collusion? I've said this before. Is it going to bring down Donald Trump? I don't think so. What's going to bring down Donald Trump is shady dealings. What's going to bring down Donald Trump is money laundering, things like that. I don't think Trump is savvy enough or smart enough to make a deal with the Russians. He's just not. And the other thing is he wants to make sure that credit for him winning goes to him. So the reason that I think that he's so against the idea that the Russians could have influenced the campaign, and they did try, and I don't think that they were super effective in the way that they were doing it, with the memes and things like that. But Trump, the reason he bristles so much, maybe is not because he actively did collusion. Maybe it's the fact that it goes against his ego and says, no, I won on my own. Nobody else helped me. Nothing else helped me. I won because I'm awesome. Just a thought. Now, going back to the tweets here, let's get to the internet, who decided to chime in on this. Eugene Gu MD says, the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula is a hugely important goal that is bigger than Trump and is bigger than some congressional hearing. If Trump truly had America's interests in mind, he would have been able to focus on his important task at hand without getting distracted. Now look, if we had a normal president, that would make sense. He would actually put the country over and ahead of the politics. Apparently, he did not. And actually, it's not just the politics, but he actually put the country, or his ego ahead of the country. There's more. He also said, real leadership means no matter what's going on in your life, you can focus on helping the American people and the world. Because peace is important, because millions of lives are at stake. Shifting blame for your failure at Hanoi on a congressional hearing is both cheap and shameful. There's more. Laffy, she's a friend, a personal friend of the show. She says, did Trump watch something Hannity-esque on Fox just now? He's frantic tweeting, blame tweeting, running through his repertoire tweeting, and retweeting fawning tweets. His Twitter binky is getting a workout. Fun times. And look, let's be honest, that's just every day. That's like Tuesday when he does all that stuff, to be fair. Jared Hughes says, always blame someone else for your failures. That is the Trump handbook, Trump 101. Nola says, we got it, guy. In your mind, it's always someone else's fault for your failures. Annie Woodward says, those hearings were scheduled before your deflection trip. North Korea will never give up on nukes, and we all told you so. Give it up, Donnie. You're going to jail. Now, look, on that point of North Korea is never going to give up the nukes. I mean, I don't know for certain. I think we need diplomacy, and I think we need to continue to try. But to think that Donald Trump is the guy to get Kim Jong-Un to give up the nukes, I don't know, man. I don't think so. It would take somebody who actually wants to not go into a state of war, who wants to not help defense contractors, who, actually wants to do the right thing. And I don't think a lot of the presidents we've had lately were interested in doing the right thing when it comes to North Korea. And North Korea certainly was not interested in doing the right thing either. Now, there's more. Renegade Cowboy says, do you need some cheese to go with that nonstop wine you provided? Fun. There's plenty of more awesome tweets here. For example, Lady Hawker says, you just admitted that you left Vietnam to get back to the States to put out the Cohen fires. Your dementia is showing. Shame on you. Hashtag the 25th. I'm adding that. Real Donna says, you blew it, big boy. Jason Haber says he was your attorney. I thought you only hired the best people. The greatest people. Now let me add on to that. You think you're a great negotiator? You're not a good negotiator. You are neither. You neither hire the best people, nor are you a great negotiator. And I'll also add in, you're not a very stable genius. He is mentally unstable. I mean, again, he walks away from the summit over Cohen, and it's the Democrats' fault. No, the guy's a pathological liar and a con man. And look, we got to get him out. I mean, we got to get him out of here. And look, one more thing too, that's interesting. So when we talk about like North Korea giving up nuclear weapons and it not happening, there is a good point to be made that if you look at what happened in Libya during the Obama administration, that they had given up their nuclear weapons, and then later on, Gaddafi was killed in the streets with a bayonet up his butt. So that's kind of what happens. And so, look, if you want to make that point of that's why Kim Jong-Un wouldn't want to give up his nuclear weapons, I think that's a really good point. And look, I had really hoped that we could get something like the Iran deal, right? But with American foreign policy as it is, I can understand why other countries wouldn't trust us as well. So you want to bring up that point? That's an excellent point. But nonetheless, it just kind of shows you then, with that in mind, that these nuclear talks were kind of doomed from the outset. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, You know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.